Hey there, this is Bill McKibben. I very much wish that I was there with you in Albany. I'm off on the West Coast, so I wanted to record this um, because this Cricket Valley Energy Center proposal is the perfect example of the kind of things that we do mindlessly because something seemed like a good idea back when, even when it's very clear now that it's not. Look, CVE was approved based on environmental impact studies carried out in 2011. That's almost a decade ago. And let me tell you what's happened in that decade. The biggest thing that's happened in that decade relating to this is that we've learned exactly what kind of impact natural gas has on climate change. We used to think back in, say, 2011, that it was kind of a bridge fuel, that it was cleaner than coal, that it was keeping us moving in the right direction until we could have renewable energy. We don't think that anymore. There are two reasons. One, we've really come to understand what natural gas does to climate change. Much of the work was done at Cornell by great New York State scholars, Bob Howarth, Tony Ingraffia, others. And what they discovered was that in the process of fracking for gas and running it through pipes and using it to power plants, enough of that methane leaks out into the atmosphere where it has very, very large heat trapping properties to make natural gas at least as bad as coal. Uh, um, there is no environmental warrant for it anymore, just the opposite. The second thing that's happened in that 10 years is that the price of a solar panel and a wind turbine has dropped 90%. Okay? It's now the cheapest way to generate power around the world. If you were starting out afresh, there's no way that you would decide to do this Cricket Valley Energy Center thing. You'd be instead moved by your spreadsheet to look at solar and at wind because that's where the action is. That's now how we generate cheap, clean, remarkably effective power, especially since batteries are now available to store it. Third thing that's happened since 2011 is the planet's gotten a hell of a lot hotter. We've had the 5 warmest years on record since 2011. And looks like this year's going to be another one of them. And so we have a real sense of what a greenhouse Earth looks like and just how much trouble we're in. And it makes it that much more irresponsible to even begin to think about building gas-fired power plants. Look, at some level, in its divided soul, Albany and the Cuomo administration get this. After great activism, great uprising, as you know, the governor decided that there would be no fracking in the state of New York. Good. But if we're not going to frack New York, if it's too dangerous for that to happen, how on earth can we then take fracked gas from elsewhere and use it to generate our power? That makes no sense. Instead, we should be working super hard to unplug whatever bottlenecks there still are to figure out how to get solar and wind built at even greater scale at really fast rates. This is one of these cases that is such a no-brainer in a way that it's hard to even make a long argument here. We know now what we didn't know in 2011, which is that this Cricket Valley plan is a dead end. It's a dead end for New York. It's a dead end for the planet. And at this point, we can't afford to wander down any more dead ends. The fight against climate change is basically a fight against time. And every time we put in some new thing that's supposed to last 30 years into the future, we put another nail in our coffin. So do not let this happen. Thank you so much for your leadership on it. If there was ever a bad plan, this was it. And let me tell you, 10 years from now, that'll be as evident to everybody else as it is right now to the people who are taking on this fight. So you guys are ahead of your time, but we've got to make sure that this is your time. Thank you.